Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the works of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. To improve the efficiency of court proceedings, the Court of Appeal Amendment Bill of 2022 was on Monday passed in the National Assembly. The passage of this bill paves the way for the appointment of more judges to take the complement to 9.
The latest statistics from the Caribbean Court of Justice reveal that nearly 60% of the appeals heard by that court are from Guyana. 60%. This means that Guyana, as a singular jurisdiction, sent more appeals to the CCJ than all the other territories combined. Indeed, appeals from Guyana tripled those of the other individual territories. It is therefore both unreasonable and impossible to expect the same number of judges to cope efficiently in the face of such an increase in workload.
As part of another move to reform the criminal justice system in Guyana, the Restorative Justice Center pilot program was officially launched. Restorative justice focuses on repairing the harm caused by criminal behavior by bringing together victims, offenders, and their communities to address the underlying cause of the crime.
In due course, I have no doubt that when the concept of restorative justice is fully understood and implemented and become a functional part of our criminal justice system and our society, those of us who are present here today will reflect upon this event and say to ourselves that we are happy that we were part of this initiative.
Also, the Attorney General stressed that the National Intelligence and Security Bill aims to give legislative recognition to the National Intelligence and Security Agency, which has been in existence for over 13 years.
What this bill seeks to do is to establish the agency by law to clearly set out what the agency's powers are, who will constitute the agency, by what mechanism they will be appointed, how the agency will be funded.
As part of government's agenda to modernize Guyana's legislation, the Electronic Communications and Transaction Bill will be laid in the National Assembly during the next sitting. The bill seeks to ensure that electronic communication is recognized by law and acceptable for business and government transactions.
At the next sitting of the National Assembly, we will be tabling an Electronic Communications and Transactions Bill, which will formally introduce e-transactions and e-payments across central government and the state apparatus. This will allow for the easy conduct of transactions involving the modern methods of communications and payments.
Government has already begun the process of constitutional and legislative reviews and have implemented legislation to allow for the use of technology to increase efficiency. The Attorney General said this goes hand in hand with efforts to increase data security. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Senior Counsel Anil Nandlal has emphasized government's plans to advance government's legislative agenda. This plan includes law reform, institutional strengthening, and boosting human resource capabilities.
The ever-expanding economic and commercial activities flowing from the oil and gas sector, coupled with the government's policy of using revenue generated from this sector, not only to diversify our economy, while at the same time expanding our traditional productive sectors, but also to modernize the country's infrastructure, all accumulate to require an almost complete overhaul of our legal system.
These reforms are implemented to match the futuristic and technological society, as across all sectors, pieces of legislation are being introduced to aid in the expansion. These sectors include health, agriculture, finance, and oil and gas. 40 staff of the Ministry of Agriculture have undergone a 5-day workshop in the efficient use of fertilizers, biofertilizers, and nutrient management.
The efficient use of fertilizer will aid our farmers greatly as they will reduce the cost of production and increase yield. For this initiative to be successful, We need our extension officers, who are the important link between the government, the private sector, and the farmers, to be proactive and to extend our reach and services into every villages, region, and to every farming and farmers in our country, farming community and farmers in our country.
In observance of World Book Day, the Ministry of Education National Literacy Department hosted a literacy extravaganza on Sunday to cultivate a passion for reading and writing. The various booths showcased the Animal Friends app, interactive and educational games, book review, and writing and art on a craft station. Learners of the Enterprise Primary School on the east coast of Demerara will benefit from an extensive 6-week literacy and robotics program, which is geared towards enhancing their reading skills.
We believe that unless your child has a disability, once we teach them to read, they will be able to read. We believe that firmly.
Primary tops at Enterprise, Paradise, and Enmore will soon close, and the students will benefit from an improved educational setting with the completion of the US $2.6 million Good Hope Secondary School.
We will close this primary top shortly. So all of the children currently in this primary top will go to discrete high schools, a high school by themselves. And we're going to be able to do that because the Good Hope Secondary is going to be completed shortly. Good Hope Secondary started many years ago, as you know. And the previous government was unable to finish it.
Minister of Human Services and Social Security Dr. Vindya Prasad on Friday met with representatives from various disability organizations, as well as Minister of Labour Joseph Hamilton, to garner input soon to be commissioned Learning Lab. The Training and Empowerment Centre for Persons with Disabilities is 95% completed.
This facility is one that will involve a number of stakeholders. So as we move to completion of the facility and as we move to the formal opening of this facility, we invited some of our stakeholders so that they could be fully involved in how we make this facility functional and operational. As you know, there are persons who fall under the Deaf Association of Guyana, and then there's the Guyana Council of Disabilities. So we deal with people with disabilities with a number of differing disabilities. So we want to ensure when the center is set up, we cater for all the varieties of disabilities so that persons will feel comfortable in their environment. The classroom areas will be set up in a customized manner to deal with all the various types of disabilities, whether mobility, whether someone is blind, whether someone is deaf, and so this was what this was all about.
The facility is a prime example of the PPPC administration's commitment to vulnerable and differently abled citizens. During a visit to several communities in the Georgetown area, Public Works Minister Bishop Juan Edgell inspected drainage, roads, footpaths, and bridges and engaged with residents. The minister walked through communities including Tuckville, North Rumveld, South Rumveld, Lamaha Park, Sophia, Guyhawk, Steve Dorr Housing Scheme, and Rasville.
Residents have been making recommendations for improvement to their lives. As a government, we've had a history of listening to the people and responding to their needs. You'll recall that we did a number of projects in Region 6, literally bringing people out of the mud. And you would have seen that where we were today are where people in Georgetown are in the mud. They haven't received any such relief or response from the municipal government, and they have made an approach to central government through their various representatives.
He identified several areas for rehabilitation which will be carried out by members of the communities and supervised by the ministry's engineers. Minister Edgell was joined by Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Onich Walron, Minister within the Office of the Prime Minister, Kwame McCoy, and Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Suzanne Rodriguez. The Planning and Development Single Window System Bill, which seeks to improve the ease of doing business in Guyana, has been sent to a special select committee for further consideration.
Last evening, we received a list of proposed amendments, and recognizing to the list there it is not dissimilar to what the members of the opposition brought out or proposed yesterday in their engagement. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, taking all of that into consideration, we do intend, following the debate, we do intend, and with the amendment that is proposed on our side too, there are two amendments have been proposed, we do intend to send for a brief period to the select committee.
55 residents of Linden can now enjoy constructing their dream homes, being the beneficiaries of steel and cement. They received the vouchers as part of government's $800 million initiative.
We want to see people building, and that's why we're encouraging persons to do so. That's why we're not just stopping in terms of allocating and moving on.
To date, over 500 persons have benefited from the Steel and Cement Initiative in Regions 2, 3, 4, and 9. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlall has committed to ensuring vendors continue to ply their trade in a more structural and cleaner environment.
We had received reports that the opposition has been spreading rumors that stalls are being broken on the instruction of the government on Regent Street. And as you're aware, based on this visit, that no stalls have been broken. This is not a position of the government. We would like people to ply their trade, but do so in a very structured, organized way.
Tushen in Region 3 and Diamond Grove in Region 4 will benefit from two multi-purpose recreational parks being built by the Office of the First Lady. The project falls under the National Beautification Project.
Let's hope that all of you are also going to come out and support First Lady in making sure that this project is executed properly and is maintained, sustained, and to the benefit of the use of the people of Tushen Iflop and across the Western world.
The town of Linden can now boast of having more skilled personnel, having graduated 107 more persons through the Board of Industrial Training.
That's the reason why we have to continue to do more of this. That is the reason why I have said to you, the type of investment we have made in Linden 2021-2022. Over $85 million to train over 700 persons who didn't have a skill. In 2020, today they can boast they have a skill. Who now are employable. This is just the beginning. This will continue.
Government, through the Ministry of Labour, will continue working to improve health and safety for workers in both private and public sectors. Minister of Labour Joseph Hamilton noted that in recent years, Guyana has seen a decline in work-related deaths.
My instructions are, the law is for everybody, private sector and public sector. And the way how you want to give a citation to the CEO, you must give that same citation to the public secretaries. And I have said to my officers, you can count on this minister to protect you. I've said further, any place you go, and you're having a conversation that is technical in nature, and someone wants to involve you in other conversations, tell them to call the minister.
Meanwhile, the Occupational Safety and Health Department will be taking a zero-tolerance approach to unhealthy and unsafe working environments.
For employees themselves, you have to pay attention. The law is on your side because it says you can object to anyone putting you in a situation to work that is dangerous.
The investigative report from the fatal accident involving a minor was handed over to government from Bauxite Minerals Group Guyana.
We have to make the recommendations, get life, and that is the important thing for all of us going forward. How we ensure that the recommendations are lively, how we ensure that together we can have companies comply with the recommendations.
149 residents of Region 5 graduated from several technical and vocational training programs offered by the Board of Industrial Training BIT on Friday. The graduates are now certified in data operation, electrical installation, motor vehicle servicing, furniture making, plumbing, commercial food preparation, garment construction, agro-processing, information technology, office administration, heavy-duty equipment operation, and welding and fabrication. The ceremony was held at the Maikoni Technical and Vocational Training Center.
We are moving from a place of where in 2021 we expended a little over $8 million in Region 5, training some 85 persons, to a place where we have expended over $61 million in Region 5, training 535 persons.
As new development comes into Guyana, such as the Wales Gas to Energy project, fertilizer plants, among others, Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben noted that the Guyana Fire Service must be well prepared to respond to incidents. He affirmed that the fire service must learn and exchange experiences and knowledge from its counterparts.
And we have to go to Bovista to engage with the fire service persons there. They're waiting on us to come to see their equipment, their methods, and what we could learn from each other. We have to do this just now. And we also have to go to Trinidad and set up engagements with them.
The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security's Counter-Trafficking in Person unit has trained 2,003 persons to better identify individuals who are victims of human trafficking. These individuals have been able to identify 3 cases of trafficking in persons to date.
We are hoping more and more of these perpetrators will have to not only face the law, but those persons will have to pay restitution to those who would have suffered at their hands.
This brings us to the end of this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website at dpi.gov.gy and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.